Greetings, and thank you for having me speak here today at your National Day of Mourning ceremony. Since April 28, 1984, people have been gathering every year on this day to remember workers who have been killed, made sick, or injured in the workplace, and to once again commit to continue the fight to protect all workers with safe and healthy workplaces. As we continue to struggle with COVID-19 in all areas of our lives, I can't help but think of the human cost of this pandemic. I remember driving with my father to our local paper mill to deliver a load of logs around 1970. The smell from the mill was particularly strong that day, and my dad told me that it was the smell of prosperity, noting we would never know the true cost of it. We can say the same about COVID-19 today. As with other occupational diseases, COVID-19 doesn't blatantly announce its presence. It just strikes. Trends over the past decade show a definite shift in WSIB's focus. WSIB's wealth has more than doubled to $35.7 billion in 2017. Employers must be smiling because their premiums, which provide the revenue to pay injured workers' benefits, have been reduced by 47%. Meanwhile, injured workers' benefits were reduced by more than 50%. We didn't fare so well. Roughly 20,000 workers every year will suffer a permanent injury, and half of those will never recover steady employment with benefits due to the disability they've experienced from their injuries or diseases. The real costs to these workers come as a result of trying to navigate a supposed compensation system that is simply not there for us and ultimately our families. There is no history to understand what the long-term effects of COVID will be for workers who have been exposed to the virus. Elizabeth Whitmer, chair of the board of directors of the WSIB, stated that the WSIB is financially in good shape in an interview on February 5th of this year. The unfunded liability is gone way ahead of time, and they have a surplus. I don't see it like that at all. On February 5th, Whitmer reported 14,823 lost-time COVID claims, and then on March 31st, there were already 21,133, roughly an increase of 43% over about 7 weeks. How will the compensation system be able to support all our workers now deemed essential who have stepped up despite little support from our government? MPP Wayne Gates continues to fight for a compensation system that protects injured workers, and when the Standing Committee on General Government voted down the consent required to debate his amendments to end deeming, the act of deducting phantom job earnings from an injured worker's loss of earnings, provide presumptive coverage, and change the act to make the goal of it to protect injured workers, all workers in Ontario were let down. There is but one moment between being a worker and a worker with a permanent injury, exposure, or a worker who dies in the workplace. NDP critic for mental health and addiction, Monique Taylor, introduced the Workplace Safety and Insurance Amendment Act, Access to Mental Health Support for Essential Workers, 2021, which would provide workers designated essential or who are working in a workplace designated as essential with the presumption that any mental health-related injuries they suffer arose from their work during the pandemic, entitling them to access WSIB benefits for chronic or traumatic mental stress injuries. Today, on behalf of injured workers and all workers in Ontario, I am calling on Premier Ford and MPPs to prioritize the health and safety of all workers. Ontario is at a critical point, if it is not already too late. As a widow of a miner in Timmins said to an MPP from Sudbury, who they were lobbying in Toronto many years ago, "You like making laws? Yes? Then you must stop making stupid laws." There is no other way to say this. You must tell the WSIB that it is their responsibility, not the responsibility of every taxpayer in Ontario, to support workers and their families who have been killed, injured, or made sick in the workplace. You must recognize the work that your MPPs are doing to protect workers in Ontario, and you must pass these acts. You must pass paid sick leave for all workers so that we can put a stop to the growing cases of COVID and save our workers and our healthcare system. You must make every person in Ontario your number one priority, and all your decisions should reflect this. Thank you for your time. Stay safe.